Hey all, Pixel here. So, as you know, I bought my wife a newer Prius so that we would have less problems and less issues. So of course that means that I'm fixing the Beatus again. Fortunately, for good reason, which is I've actually arranged to sell this to a friend of a friend, and we basically worked out that they're giving me my asking price, but I'm replacing basically the rest of the front end, lower control arms, struts and stuff, and the exhaust gasket, because that joint seems a little bit loud and there's still a clunk in the front end, so that should solve all those problems. At that point they'll know they have a car with no known issues aside from the smell. So yeah, I'm going to pull this up, we're going to get working on it, and hopefully I can get this thing out of my life. Alright, Christ, that's finally done. So, almost certain I'm going to trim that time lapse, but basically, it was a disaster for me. But basically, it was a royal pain in the ass. The strut itself wasn't a problem, though I reused two of the old nuts from the previous strut because they've got let's see if I can find the third one. No, I can't. The old ones basically were like a spacer and then a nut as a unit, and the new ones were just a nut. So the two rear ones down in here, sorry, I only used one. I'm sorry, I thought I used two, but I used one in the back because I needed that spacer to be able to get a wrench on it to tighten it, because without that there was just no way to get the wrench on. You can take that whole cowl piece out to access them, but my rule for this project is I'm not unbolting anything I don't have to, because I don't want to risk breaking anything, and there's enough old rusty bolts holding those wiper arms on. I don't want to risk breaking anything. So that was a pain, but it went in okay. The bottom of the strut went in fine. I had to cut the sway bar link, but I expected to have to do that. That was no problem. The problem came with the lower control arm. The rear bolt, the nut on it, would not come loose. I first broke this wrench, and then broke this wrench, and then went in with heat and a better quality wrench, and finally got it to crack loose, at which point it all came apart. And trying to pry the old control arm out of the cradle, by prying this way and prying this way, I had inadvertently pulled the box of the steel box that the control arm slides into open, which shrank it slightly, and I didn't realize that until I tried to get the other control arm in, and ended up beating on it to try and get it in. Realized there's no way of getting it in, then had to fight with it to get it back out again, so I could then reshape the box back to the right shape so they could get the control arm in there. Yeah, it was just, Christ, it took forever. You can always tell how badly a job goes by the blast radius of tools, and this was a pretty bad job. So I thought I was going to get both sides done today. I'm definitely not, because I'm exhausted, and not only do I not want to tear the other side apart right now, but Rock Auto, twice in 2 orders, fucked up. This is not the right control arm for a Prius. This is something completely different, and it's a left arm. So I haven't even checked if that part number's right, or if I don't know if they give me the wrong box or the wrong part in the right box. But that's 2 orders from Rock Auto twice in a row now where they fucked up the parts. I'm getting really pissed about that. But I literally can't do all the work on the other side because I don't have the parts I need. I don't know why I believed that they would be right. I don't know why I didn't double check, open all the packages and check, but yeah. So I'm also missing a lug nut now, somewhere in this mess. But I'm sure I'll find it when I'm cleaning up. If not, I'll find it tomorrow morning. But I'm done for today. Aside from tightening the 4 lug nuts that I do have and cleaning this mess up, I'm going to open the other box, make sure that looks like the right strut. Shit's falling from the sky. If it was a bird, possibly actually shit. But yeah, I'm gonna tighten this up, clean up, that'll be done for today. I'm frustrated that this took too long, but that's not super surprising, old rusty parts. I'm so pissed that that control arm is wrong. I'm so frustrated that that control arm is wrong, because I can't do the work. Even if I wanted to stay out here and try and hammer through all this, I can't because I have the wrong parts. So that's gonna be it for tonight. I'll see you in the morning. All right, day 2 of working on the Prius. I went to AutoZone and picked up the correct lower control arm because they had the cheapest one. Bizarrely, buying the one with the ball joint was like $45 cheaper than buying the one without anywhere else, including AutoZone. So I don't know what the hell pricing is going on there, but either way, got that. I am gonna remove this ball joint and I'm gonna use the Moog one that's already on the car just because it's gonna be better quality than this. But yeah, need to tear into everything on this side, do the exact same thing I did on the other side, and go forward from there, and hopefully this side is less of a disaster. Alright, so having learned from the other side, I'm starting with this stupid nut up in here before I do anything else. And the thing that seemed to have finally worked on the other side was to bring fire into the equation. The thing that ended up getting this off was to heat the hell out of the nut as much as I could with this torch, which is not as much as I could with a proper welding setup, but hopefully it's going to be enough on this side as well. I'm not sure how much the camera is picking up, but I keep sort of incidentally clipping the bushing for the sway bar, so it's smoking and trying to flame a little bit. Also, I sprayed this with PB Blaster last night to try and give it a little chance to work, and then hosed it off just before I started in on the torch with brake clean. Most of it seems to have evaporated, but I think a little bit got on that bushing and was also burning away. So I'm basically going to do this until the stuff around it starts smoking worryingly, and then give it a shot at cracking it away. I am entertained that I just noticed this as I was working. So this is a, propane torch, Bernzomatic. I happen to be using a Bernzomatic propane container, and I just realized I don't know if this is going to show up on the camera or not, but this 1-inch wrench I've been using as a lever is a Bernzomatic wrench, so that just amused me. So because this is just propane, this is not going to get this like cherry hot or anything. I would need at least map gas, but realistically a proper torch to turn this bright red. But this was enough on the other side, so hopefully I'll get lucky and it'll be enough on this side as well. If not, I'm at least, eliminating the successful option right off so I can skip to other stuff, and something under there is burning. Oh, fuck. I put that out. How to figure out what was burning back there. I think I know what it was. And is. God damn it. Alright, so that's all out. Embarrassingly, what caught fire back there, and I can't show it to you because it's buried in there, is there's a couple lines that run there, and there's a plastic like spacer bracket that holds them in place that was perfectly hidden by the shape of everything behind the bolt. So the like plastic spacer bracket caught fire, and also the coating on those caught fire a little bit, but it was mostly that bracket. And the big splash didn't get it because it was of where it was placed. But I just wet a rag and wiped it down, and it's fine. It's all out. I'm a little embarrassed by that, but what can I do? At least I didn't do any real damage. So at least let's find out if I can get the nut loose. Alright, apparently I forgot to turn the camera on. But I think I've gotten it to turn. I tried doing this, and that got me that blood blister. And then I started wailing on it with Mjolnir, and that got me this blood blister, but also got it to eventually move. It's still at the point where it barely wants to move, but I can kind of scooch it along, so I need to get it just a little bit further so that I know it's not tight up against the steel here, and then I can try pulling the bolt out. But if it is as loose as I think it is now, I've just saved myself probably a good half hour plus for the work that I did on the other side. So that's good. This side is a little easier because I'm pushing rather than pulling, because there was no way I could get a hammer on the wrench on the other side, though I was less at risk of smashing myself on things because I was pulling away from everything. So whatever. But yeah, I'm gonna wail on this a little bit more, push it in a little bit more, and then go at it with the gun, and hopefully I can pull the bolt out. You know what? I'm not gonna film because you've got plenty of time lapse from tomorrow. I will catch you up as I get stuff done, or if something comes up, especially because now both my hands hurt and I just want to get this stupid job done. All right, update. I've got the strut in at the top, which was a whole mess because the nut way back there got stripped by the wrench, so I ended up having to unbolt this whole pan and lift the end up with the pry bar so I could get an extractor on there so I could get this off, so I could get the strut in. But the top of it is now in and bolted in place, and now I just have to put that back in. The reason I'm working on the strut is because I've hit a sort of snag point with the lower control arm, and I wanted to get something feeling like it was accomplished. This bolt, it's undone from the nut, but I can't get it out any further. I suspect that if I can get the lower control arm up, I can get it out, because I think right now this is pitched down enough to be pinching it. But for right now, I can't get that out. But that's not my big problem, because this bolt over here, I got free and unbolted, except that sorry to put a goddamn engine in the way. That bolt will not come out far enough, as far as I can tell, with the engine there, and I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do about it. Like, maybe I can pry the engine a little bit, but it's not going to be enough, I'm pretty sure. So I literally have no idea how I'm getting this bolt out without unbolting and jacking up the entire engine, which is a whole separate massive problem. But like, I genuinely can't believe they designed it like this. This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. This car comes with one engine and one front suspension setup, and they managed to have the two interfere with each other on a part that needs to be replaced, you know, theoretically more frequently than the engine. So I'm not sure what I'm doing there, but I'm gonna bolt the hub to the strut. I'm gonna get that all taken care of so that the strut is holding the hub up, so that I can get this lower control arm up, and I can try and get this bolt out Maybe if I'm very lucky, I might be able to, with this bolt out, maneuver stuff around. I don't think I will, but I might have enough movement here that I can cock that to get it free or something. But I'm really not looking forward to trying to figure out how to get that out. Anyway, I'll catch you up when I get to the next stage of success or massive failure. All right, some good news on the subject of this bolt for that control arm that's hitting the engine. This mount over here, I took out this bolt, and what I was then able to do, see if I can duplicate it one-handed, is take my pry bar, get it up in here, and then as soon as I find the right thing to pry against, the whole engine will swing forward just enough for you to pull that bolt out. So that's better than I was afraid of, but I still think this was a very dumb design. But that bolt is out. The other one is still not out. So I'm still trying to get that free, but I'm making progress. If I can get that bolt out, then everything that needs to be unbolted is unbolted, and then it's just a matter of ripping this control arm out of here and figuring out how to get the new one in. So yeah, chipping away at it. Still not happy that I have to do this to an engine to get the suspension out. All right, so I got everything off. This last bolt, the vertical one, was a whole special thing. I ended up doing this to the control arm to help me get it off. The problem is the threads, I have no idea if these are going to show up on the camera or not, but the threads down here where they're not engaged with the nut got so full of rust and crap that they were actually bigger than the opening at the bottom of the control arm here. So it would get down to a certain point and then it would either spin, or if you applied pressure it would just jam. But as soon as you pushed upwards it would come loose again. So what I literally had to do was use a wrench around the washer here to apply, levered against the body to apply downward pressure while I spun it with the tool until I literally wore all this away until it was thin enough to drop out. But it's out now, and the bolt's not actually damaged in any significant way. It's going to compromise. It's just was so filled up with crap. So now reassembly, and then, dear God, I hope we're done. All right, and we are done over here. Everything is bolted in, the strut assembly, the sway bar link, and the lower control arm. The only thing that needs to happen other than the tire is that this bolt back here needs to get tightened fully when the car's on the ground, same with the one on the other side. But that's all in. I've put the tray thing that I took apart up there back together. So as far as the suspension work is done, the car is as done as it can be until it's on the ground. So the only thing I have left is that exhaust gasket up in there, which does not actually appear to be leaking. This is a weirdness of this car. So if you look at that, there's no real sign of a leak. The car sounds loud, but I can never find a leak. And when I took it in to be inspected, they didn't find a leak and they passed it. So I'm almost afraid to fuck with it, but at the same time, if I can get it to shut up, that would be nice for them. So I think I'm gonna bite the bullet and do it. Fortunately, it doesn't look nearly as rusty as these things have looked before. My old Scion, that thing was always a fucking horror show. So yeah, I'm gonna get in there, I'm gonna get those out, I'm gonna pull the donut gasket out, put a new one in, new bolts and springs, and hopefully that will be a fairly quick job. So this project just gets more ridiculous. So the donut gasket that I was sent, which is the Walker one, I'm going to double check the part number, but I think they sent me the right one. The flange that it's supposed to fit over on the exhaust manifold is bigger than the hole in the middle of the gasket. So the gasket won't go on. And it's off by a significant amount, like a couple millimeters, which is enough to have, you know, overlap all the way around. So I'm not sure what to do, because I feel like if I just buy another one somewhere else, it's going to have the same problem, but I'm not sure. So I'm forgetting it for now. I'm going to eat and go to sleep, take a shower. But yeah, no, we're going into day 3 of this. This is supposed to be some quick, easy work, so I can get a little bit more for the car, and I can make the person who's buying its life easier, and instead 3 days of disaster. Should have known. I mean, it's the Beatus. But yeah, I'll catch you all tomorrow, I guess. And welcome to night 3. And some other stuff going on, so I didn't get out here until it's almost 9 o'clock. So I went looking for alternative ones. Every place lists the same ones. They all claim that it's the right one and that it'll fit, but let me inches. So this is a one from O'Reilly's, 227, 2 inches 27. I was just curious because all the sites give their measurements in inches, not millimeters, because, you know, America, or freedom units around here. 58.1. It's not, which is bigger than the other one was, but is not actually large enough. I believe it's 59.5 is the outer diameter I measured, though I'm not 100% sure, but anyway, I know that's not big enough. I chest fit this. It does not fit. It hits the same way that the other one does. Basically, you put it on, and the inside diameter of this is equal to the inside diameter of the pipe, which obviously doesn't work. You need it to be equal to the outside diameter of the pipe. I'm genuinely fascinated that every single auto parts store appears to sell gaskets from various manufacturers, all of which are the wrong size, because they all seem to have the same measurements, and they're all wrong. I don't know where the hell this happened, and I don't know how the hell nobody's managed to be like, hey, fuckers, fix this. But I bought this one even though I knew it was the wrong size at the store, because this is a solid graphite one. It's graphite in some sort of binder, and this I can hog out. I've actually already started. I've realized I forgot to start filming, but I'm grinding out the inner edge there. I'm going to try and bring it out enough that it'll fit. Even if it's not perfect, it's better than the blown out one that was in there. So yeah, I'm just gonna do that. I'm using a grinding bit on a drill because it's late to be running the compressor. I'm using this on a drill to just basically hog that all out. It would probably make sense to set it up on something else to make it cleaner, but honestly, I just don't give a shit anymore. I just want to get this done. I want to get this on, and I want to get the car done. So yeah, I'm gonna hog this out until it fits or until I break it, and then I'm gonna go forward from there. All right, update. I was able to take enough material out of that gasket that I could get it on there, enough to stay in place and get the bolts started. Started cranking it down. It slid on enough. Looks like it should work. However, one of the two nuts, just dropped something. However, one of the two nuts that these bolts go into on the manifold stripped out, and they're not real nuts. They're some weird stamped thing, and this is a thread of bolts. It's a M10 1.25 that I don't have any useful amounts of. And I don't give enough of a shit right now because there's nothing I can do to fix it properly. Anything is going to be a bit of a hack, short of replacing the exhaust manifold, which I'll be damned if I'm going to do for one stripped bolt. So this is whatever the ASE closest to it is. I think it's a 3/8, but I'm not even sure. That's longer. And what I've done is basically to recreate this. Sorry, I'm trying to do this all while holding it. Basically, you see what I had to recreate because the bolt can only go so far in so the spring can do its job. I basically made this. The spring's going to fit around that, and then it's long enough left over to be able to put a nut on the end. So that should allow me to do it. It doesn't matter that it's SAE because it's going through a stripped out bolt. It's being held down. The only thing it's going to do is confuse somebody down the line who tries to fix this, because it's not going to be a metric head, but they'll be able to figure it out. So this should allow me to finish it today. And once I get this in, it's going to go back down on its wheels. It's going to get those 2 bolts snugged up for the control arms, and then this whole goddamn project will be done, and I can sell this car and it'll be out of my life. So I'll catch you up once that's happened, or I've run into the next problem. And we are done, hopefully. Exhaust is in, bolted down, car is on its wheels. Those bolts have been tightened on the control arm. This is the wheel that was on the back there that had a flat from driving over the skull that I put on the front. I'm going to put some Fix-A-Flat slime in it and then take it for a drive around the neighborhood. I'm hoping it just got kind of pushed off the bead because I can find no damage to the tire. And it seems to be holding air just fine. So I'm going to put some Fix-A-Flat in it, see what it looks like overnight, and then should be done and ready to go. All right, back from the test drive, and everything went fine. The clunk in the front end is gone, and the exhaust is way louder, so it turns out that apparently the donut gasket was leaking, even though you couldn't, like literally you would put your hand like this around and you couldn't feel any air. So whatever. But whatever, it's done. And good riddance is basically where I am. Like, the Beatus has been a perfectly fine car. I didn't hate it until this last bit of work, because it was supposed to be a quick. I'm going to do this as a favor to a friend, get this work done on the car they're buying from me. Supposed to be a fairly quick job. It turned into a 3-night ordeal and an extra $100 worth of parts having to be bought to get it done. And even if I return the incorrect control arm and the incorrect gasket, because they're the cheaper ones, I'm going to get like half of that back. So that's all very frustrating, but whatever. Car's done. They're going to get a good, solid, reliable car that they don't have to worry about. I get a car out of my life, and I get a fair chunk back for what I paid for the other one. We still lost money on the Beatus because we bought it at the top of the market when Priuses were going for big money, and we're selling them now when they're not. But lost way less than I could have otherwise, so I'm happy there. And it's one less car in the fleet, so we have an extra driveway space. I've got one less car to work on. So theoretically that gives me more time, but realistically this was supposed to be afternoon and I had 2 days to work on other stuff, but didn't. So that's just how car stuff has been going lately, but whatever. It's done. It's gone. They're going to pick it up either today or either tomorrow or the day after, and it'll be out of my life. And yeah, go forward from there. Working on some stuff on the van. Got to do some more stuff on the wagon. If you watched the end of this video, I'm thinking about selling the wagon. I love it. It's a great car, but I don't really drive it. And I've got an idea burbling in the back of my head for something that can kind of serve the same spare car role that it does, but could be going a whole nother direction. That's something I don't want to do to the wagon because it's going to be cutting up a car so thoroughly and modifying it so thoroughly it could never go back to stock. And this thing's unique enough and would be desirable enough as it is that I don't want to do that, because basically I'd never be able to sell it. I'd have to go straight to the junkyard when I was tired of it. So yeah, wagon's going to be up for sale, possibly, maybe, kind of, which means I'm probably going to be doing some of the body work to it, make it a little more saleable, but I don't know. I'm not in a hurry to sell it, but if you watch the channel and you're interested in buying the wagon, get in touch. And let me know. I'm in Rhode Island. I'll give you a fair price on it because I know what it is and what it's worth and what it isn't worth. So I'm not going to try and like bullshit you. And yeah, that's it for now. Thank you all very much for watching. I will talk to you all later. Bye.